This is a land of contradictions. Mention it, and your mind probably conjures up images of cherry blossoms in full bloom, polite bows, trains that run with mind-boggling punctuality, and streets so clean they feel almost surgical. In most people's eyes, this is the gold standard of civilization, orderly, courteous, refined. But what if there's another mirror? One that reflects a completely different world, a society shrouded in loneliness, repression, and something almost unspeakably dark. Today, we're ripping off that beautifully wrapped packaging and going deep into the veins of this nation to uncover the truths that no tourism commercial will ever show you. Are you ready? This is a real deep dive into Japan. 15 shocking facts that might just shatter everything you thought you knew about this island nation in the Far East. You've probably heard that Japan has the best service industry in the world. That feeling of being treated like royalty is genuinely addictive. But have you ever stopped to wonder what kind of twisted social contract is hiding behind that ultra-polished service? That brings us to Fact Hasson, the invisible burden of emotional labor and extreme suppression. In Japan, there's a cultural concept called reading the air, kuki wo yomu. It sounds poetic, but in practice, it's an invisible set of chains. In public, everyone is expected to wear a mask that demands you never, ever inconvenience anyone else. The result is extreme. Every smile you see on the street may be concealing emotions on the verge of collapse. Real psychological data shows that the average facial expression of Japanese commuters on the subway has been rated by researchers as approaching the emotional flatness associated with depressive symptoms. It's not that they're cold-hearted, they're just exhausted. Not physically, but mentally and spiritually. To keep up this surface-level harmony, Japanese people have invented all kinds of pressure release outlets, some of which are flat-out bizarre. Which leads us right into Fact #2, the twisted economy of stress relief. In Japan, loneliness is big business. You might think eating alone or going to the movies solo is already pretty isolating, but in Japan, that's just the entry level. Here, you can rent a family. Yes, you heard that right. If you're feeling lonely, or you need someone to fill seats at your wedding, or you just want to know what it feels like to have a mom or a dad around you, can literally hire an actor to play your relative. This isn't a movie set. These are real transactions happening right now. There was a man in his 60s whose wife had passed and whose kids lived far away. For 3 years straight, every single weekend, he rented a mother and daughter pair to come to his home, sit down, and share a meal with him, pretending they were his family. He knew it was fake. He paid for it anyway, just to have a few hours of warmth. Is that tragic? Absurd? Both? What it reflects is a society that has become so atomized, so fractured at the human level, that money has become the only thing left to patch the bonds back together. If renting a family still carries a faint trace of warmth, Fact #3 is far more brutal. Karoshi death by overwork. Japan didn't just invent the concept, it exported the word to the rest of the world. Despite years of government-pushed labor reform aimed at cutting down working hours, deeply entrenched corporate culture has made the law look almost powerless. In Japanese workplaces, leaving on time is treated as a form of betrayal, a signal that you're not fully committed, that you don't have enough on your plate. There's an unwritten rule. Subordinates absolutely cannot leave before their boss. So you get this surreal spectacle. Everyone's work is done, but the entire office just sits there, pretending to be busy, killing time, waiting for the boss to finally stand up and grab his coat. Only then does the collective exhale, and everyone packs up. This culture of pointless overtime drains the life out of young workers like a parasite. And it doesn't even stop there. After the office comes the second shift, taking clients or bosses out drinking. This isn't recreation, it's an extension of work. Walk through Shinjuku or Shibuya late at night, and you'll regularly spot salarymen in crisp suits passed out on the sidewalk, clutching their briefcases in their sleep. These aren't homeless people. These are the worn-out cogs of a massive economic machine. That inevitably brings us to fact hash 4, the low desire society and the death of romance. You might find this hard to believe. In a country where the adult entertainment industry is thriving and adult film production ranks #1 in the world, real young people are losing interest in dating and intimacy at an alarming rate. According to surveys, among unmarried Japanese people between 18 and 34, over 70% of men and 60% of women have no romantic partner. And a significant portion of them say relationships are just too much trouble. They'd rather dive into the world of anime and manga, falling in love with virtual idols, than put in the emotional work of a real relationship. Because in the real world, romance means enormous financial cost and emotional drain. This phenomenon has given rise to a uniquely Japanese business model: cuddle cafes. And no, we don't mean that euphemistically. These are places where you literally pay someone to lie next to you, hold you, chat with you, or just let you fall asleep listening to their heartbeat. But sex is strictly off the table. The explosive popularity of these services is proof that what modern Japanese people lack isn't physical intimacy in the traditional sense. It's a hug. It's that most primal, most basic sense of safety that comes from human touch. Fact hash 5. Japan's recycling obsession and the secret behind those spotless streets. When you visit Japan, you'll be stunned by how clean everything is. Then you'll be driven slightly insane by the fact that you can't find a single trash can anywhere. In most countries, that would be unthinkable. This all traces back to the 1995 Tokyo subway sarin attack in the name of public safety. The government removed most public trash receptacles. What's remarkable is that decades later, Japanese people have simply adapted. They carry their trash home with them. That sounds incredibly civic-minded on the surface, but underneath it lies a form of extreme social surveillance and pressure. If you've ever lived in Japan, you know that taking out the trash is practically an advanced degree. You have to put out the right type of trash, on the right day, at the right time, in the right designated bag. Put burnable waste out on a bottle and can day, and your bag will be tagged with a humiliating red warning sticker and sent back to you. Neighbors may quietly identify who left it. The social cold shouldering that follows is silent, but brutal. This near fanatical compliance with rules keeps the streets immaculate, but it also makes life feel suffocating for anyone living inside it. Speaking of rules, Fact hash 6 might give you a whole new perspective on justice in Japan. Japan's conviction rate sits at 99.9%. In the legal world, this number is almost statistically impossible. Most rule of law nations hover around 80%. What this means is that in Japan, if a prosecutor decides to charge you, you are essentially guaranteed to be found guilty. The controversy lurking behind this number is what critics call hostage justice. To maintain that astronomically high conviction rate, prosecutors typically only bring cases where the evidence is airtight, but the cost is steep. Before charges are even filed, a suspect can be detained for up to 23 days with no attorney present, under enormous psychological pressure to confess. The terrifying result. In Japan, you'd better pray you never get caught up in a criminal case, because once the system has you in its sights, fighting your way out is nearly impossible. This is a system that may sacrifice individual justice in the pursuit of perfect societal order. Fact hash 7. Adult adoption in Japan. In most cultures, adoption exists to give orphans a home. In Japan, adopting adults is the norm. Every year, Japan sees over 80,000 adoptions, and 98% of the people being adopted are adult males between the ages of 20 and 30. Why? Business succession. Japan is home to the oldest companies on Earth. Family businesses that have survived for centuries, some for over 1,000 years. If the family has no son, or the son simply doesn't have what it takes, the head of the family will adopt a capable young man, have him take the family name, inherit the business, and often marry into the family as well. This practice has helped Japan maintain the world's highest concentration of long-lived companies, but it also reveals just how much this society prioritizes bloodline and family honor, sometimes over individual free will. The adopted son-in-law ceases to be himself. He becomes a symbol, a vessel, a continuation of the family enterprise. Facthashite. The Night. Movers. This sounds like the title of a noir thriller, but in Japan, it's a real profession. Some people drowning in debt from loan sharks, escaping domestic abuse, or simply desperate to vanish from their current life, hire what are known as yanaja, or night-moving services. These professionals show up after dark in a truck, clear out your entire apartment in a matter of hours, drive you somewhere no one will ever find you, and help you establish a new identity. You disappear from the face of the earth. Nearly 100,000 Japanese people choose to vanish this way every year. They're known as Juhatsu, the evaporated people. Some rebuild quiet lives in remote towns. Others end up in places like Nishinari in Osaka, Japan's most notorious slum. This is the enormous black hole behind a first-world nation's polished facade, proof that even in a country with one of the world's most extensive social safety nets, there are people so cornered, so out of options, that the only way forward is to cease to exist. Fact #9. The Japanese art of the gift and fruit that costs a fortune. Walk into a Japanese supermarket and find a cantaloupe priced at 10,000 yen, hundreds of dollars, and try not to do a double take. In Japan, fruit isn't just food. It's a gift. It's currency. These premium fruits are visually flawless and packaged like jewelry, the result of Japan's impossibly strict agricultural standards and its deeply ingrained gift-giving culture. In Japan, maintaining relationships requires a constant flow of thoughtful presents. You give gifts for Oban in the summer, for year-end, for moving into a new home, for any time someone has done you a favor. These astronomically priced fruits are the hard currency of this complex web of social obligations. Even ordinary Japanese people feel the weight of it because failing to give, or giving the wrong thing, can mark you as someone who doesn't understand the rules and quietly push you to the margins of your social circle. Fact #0. The hikikomori recluses on a scale you can't imagine. We've touched on loneliness, but hikikomori exist on an entirely different level. Estimates suggest that over 1 million people in Japan live in complete social withdrawal, never leaving their homes. These individuals, typically young men, lock themselves in their rooms for years, sometimes decades, surviving on meals their parents leave outside the door. Many families hide this reality out of shame, and it can take the death of the parents and the smell that follows before neighbors even realize there's a middle-aged person sealed inside. This is referred to as the 8,050 problem. 80 year. Old parents still supporting 50 year old reclusive children. When this generation of parents is gone, what becomes of over 1 million middle-aged adults with no life skills and no connection to the outside world? This is the ticking time bomb that keeps Japan's government up at night. Fact #9. The stamp culture and Japan's digital paradox. Japan is a technological powerhouse robotics, bullet trains, cutting-edge engineering. But step into a Japanese office, and you'll still find fax machines and personal seals called hanko. To finalize a single document, it may need to be stamped by 4 or 5 different people, and there are rules about how to do it. A subordinate stamp must tilt slightly to the left, as if bowing toward the superior stamp. This devotion to formality has severely slowed Japan's digital transformation. Even after 2020, countless companies still required employees to physically come into the office just to press a stamp on a piece of paper. This seemingly absurd insistence is actually a perfect snapshot of a society that resists change and clings to traditional hierarchy and ritual. They would rather be inefficient than disrupt the established order. Fact #2. Train gropers and the women. Only car. Japan's trains are some of the most crowded places on the planet. and they've become breeding grounds for one of the country's ugliest crimes, Chikan or train groping. The government's response? Designate women-only cars during rush hour. The irony is brutal. In a nation famous for its politeness, physical segregation is required to keep women safe on public transit. And here's another detail worth noting. Japanese cell phones cannot mute the shutter sound when taking a photo. This is a government mandate designed to deter secret photography. Every time you raise your phone and hear that loud click, it's a quiet reminder of just how high the social trust deficit runs in this country, and how much restless, unsavory desire simmers just beneath the surface of that calm exterior. Fact Hasson 3. The weight of shame and Japan's relationship with suicide. Japan's suicide rate, once ranked among the highest in the world, it has declined in recent years, but it remains a heavy, unresolved social wound. There's the infamous Aokigahara Forest, the so-called Sea of Trees, where volunteers enter annually to search for remains. Why does this keep happening? It's not just the pressure of daily life. It runs deeper into Japan's cultural relationship with shame. In Western frameworks, guilt says, I did something wrong. In Japan, shame says, I let others down. I disgraced the group. When that shame becomes unbearable, many people turn it inward, choosing self-destruction as a form of atonement. This is a heartbreaking cultural thread, one that has shaped Japan's extraordinary self-discipline and also pushed countless people to the very edge of collapse. Fact Hasson 4. The tattoo taboo. In much of the modern world, tattoos are fashion statements or personal expressions. In Japan, they can get you turned away from most public baths, swimming pools, and gyms. In the collective Japanese psyche, tattoos are still synonymous with the Yakuza organized crime. Ironically, Japan's Yakuza are technically legal organizations, yet socially, they're shut out from almost everything. The fear of tattoos is really a fear of anyone who dares to disrupt the order. Japanese society has no tolerance for outliers. If your appearance challenges the established norm, even if you're just a regular person who likes tattoos, you can be stripped of access to public spaces and services. This is the homogenization pressure of Japanese society in its rawest form. Be like everyone else, or be excluded. And finally, Fact Hasson 5. The extreme aging of Japan. Drive through the Japanese countryside, and you'll find it nearly empty, just the occasional elderly figure moving slowly through the silence. Even in Tokyo's convenience stores and gas stations, white-haired workers are a common sight. Japan is becoming a dying nation. Sales of adult diapers have overtaken sales of baby diapers. Millions of homes sit abandoned across the country. Some towns are literally giving houses away for free and still can't find takers. This isn't just an economic crisis. It's a civilizational twilight. When a society loses the noise of its young people, the crying of babies, the chaos of children, what's left is an immaculate, orderly silence. And that silence is terrifying. This is a nation aging gracefully toward its own end. And behind that grace is a deep, quiet despair about the future. This is the real Japan. Not just cherry blossoms and anime, but suffocating workplaces, profoundly lonely souls, a twisted service economy, and rules so rigid they become a cage. It is both a model of civilization and a cautionary tale. Japan has taken humanity's capacity for order to its absolute extreme and paid for it with something deeply human. Inside this seemingly perfect social machine, every gear turns with precision, producing a sound that is almost musical. But lean in close enough, and beneath the hum, you might just catch something else faint, soundless, and unmistakably like a scream. After taking in these 15 truths, has your view of Japan shifted? There is no perfect utopia in this world. Behind every polished surface, complex and turbulent undercurrents run deep. Perhaps it is precisely this collision between extreme light and extreme shadow that makes this country so mesmerizing and so unsettling. Would you want to live in a Japan like this? Or are you just Grateful to be watching from the outside? That's a question only you can answer. Just remember, the truth is almost always stranger than fiction.